Thank you for joining us today in episode 77 of the Pool Chasers podcast. As always, our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. Just a quick reminder that our Houston Live Tour is coming up on Thursday, January 23rd. It's going to be part of the Southwest Pool and Spa Show at the George R. Brown Convention Center in room 350 DE and F from 5:30 to 8 p.m. We will be interviewing Matt Golke and his team from Golke Pools, which, if you don't know who they are, you're definitely missing out because they have an incredible operation in Denton, Texas. We've always admired what they do, so we're super excited to have them on with us and to share that experience with all of you. So please come join us. Tickets are free, but you do have to sign up through the registration process for the Southwest Pool and Spa Show, which you can get to by visiting poolchasers.com/events or clicking the link in the write-up below. So today we had the opportunity to sit down with Tom Sheehy. Tom has been involved with many associations and boards throughout his time in the industry. He credits most of his success to education. Like many of us out there, he stumbled around for the first 3 to 4 years learning by trial and error, which we all know can be very time-consuming and costly. Tom discusses his business with us and shares a few different scenarios where the education he has learned has made a huge difference for him or his team. We love that he takes the time to share what he learned with his team because that makes them so much better. He has taught some classes at the Southwest Pool and Spa Show and was the vice president at one time. The show has meant a lot to Tom over the years, so we discuss this year's show details and how you can find out more information. Please enjoy Tom Sheehy of Crystal Clear Custom Pools.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Tom. We really appreciate your time and, thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be asked to be on here.
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself to listeners?
I'm Tom Sheehy. I own Crystal Clear Custom Pools out of Waxahachie, Texas, just south of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Nice. Well, we kind of like to learn a little bit about each guest. So where did you grow up?
Basically in Dallas-Fort Worth my whole life, for the most part.
Oh, wow.
Don't want to say I was born in New York, so I'm not going to say that.
No, you bleed Texas through and through.
Yep, I believe it's that.
Nice. So what was your childhood like?
Had a family of 5 with my dad, mom, and brother and sister. We grew up in an extremely low income family. My brother is severely retarded with Down syndrome, probably operates at a level of probably a 2-year-old his whole life. And my sister also was severely retarded with Down syndrome, and she operates probably at a 4-year-old level. So it created a unique environment, obviously, with them being, so difficult to manage and to raise. And they lived with my parents their whole lives. But growing up super, super poor, it made me appreciate and be extremely frugal with everything I do with my life. And that translated when I started my business to working with customers, trying not to replace something unless I had to. But then it became a negative thing because you can only fix something so many times, and after a while you have to learn it's okay to throw something away. It's okay to tell them they need a new push-pull valve. You can't always fix something, and the cost actually will start to increase more and more with your time of trying to rig stuff all the time. So
right,
that was something I had to learn to try to overcome.
Yeah, that had to be a learning curve for sure. I mean, I'm sure having that low-income childhood really helped you throughout your life, though, figuring through different stages and for a lot of overcoming things, right?
Yep. I mean, it's still who I am today. I mean, I still have the same truck. My kids make fun of me. Everybody in my family makes fun of me because I drive the truck until the wheels fall off, and then I weld them back on and drive it some more. So we don't do new cars, really. All my cars for my guys are, usually used beyond belief, but I just don't believe in buying new and, in my opinion, wasting money on something that's going to depreciate so quickly.
Sure. What kind of truck do you have?
2005 Ford F-150 with almost 400,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're making the most of that for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. I know you kind of mentioned on the forum, it helped you also, growing up with your brother and sister and helped you appreciate, the little things, and you self-taught yourself on a lot of things, and, you have like no tolerance for laziness really. And that's pretty cool to kind of use that as a way of looking at things.
Yeah, when you see, someone you love like that and they can't catch a ball, they can't, there's no way they're ever going to work, have a job, they can't get married, they can't, basically do anything. It's can't even hardly dress themselves or tie their shoes. It makes you, if you have any feelings at all, it makes you feel really blessed every day that, even if something as silly as falling down the stairs and getting up and laughing at yourself is really a big accomplishment. They could break a leg, and, I just dove big time into sports and, did things to honor them. I did a 24-hour race on a track one time, a high school track, see how far I could go in 24 hours. Just stupid things like that I know they couldn't do. But all through life too. I mean, just starting my business, being, trying to do as many things as I could with my life, knowing that they can never achieve really anything besides just living.
Sure.
So it affects me every day in what I do.
Yeah. You're the first person you said to graduate college too in your family, right?
Yep. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Information Systems, which basically means you're a computer programmer.
Right. That's cool. That's a big accomplishment. So tell us more about your family now. What do you guys like to do?
Well, I met my wife playing volleyball about 25 years ago, and we have 4 kids. My wife and I actually coach girls volleyball, club ball, for, I guess, 15 years or so, on and off. Most of our kids now, we got one left in college. The rest of them have gotten engaged or married, and now we got grandkids on the way. I thought I was going to get to retire once we got our kids out the door, but now my wife is going nuts on the grandkids' toys and presents and everything else. So now I'm going to need a second job, apparently. And then I play ice hockey and volleyball still, sand volleyball, and golf and run and things like that.
Ice hockey in Texas, huh?
Yeah, and we play in a mall, actually, and it's 2,000 degrees. You would think playing ice hockey means you're cold, but it's quite the opposite. You're out there running practically with a bunch of gear on. So yeah, you get extremely hot. Actually, it's kind of morbid, but we have a lot of people die playing ice hockey from heart attacks because it's adult leagues.
Oh,
and
wow.
The rinks before I used to play in, like every year, at least one person would die on the ice. So
what?
It's
that's an unusual thing.
Yeah. So most people think it's just something you can do and relax, but it's exhilarating, and it's a difficult sport if you're trying to play it hard.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a cool outlet too, for you. I like to play. I still play softball with a lot of my buddies and stuff. So it's kind of a cool way to get a break from regular routine and kind of just go and be focused on one thing, And
you need something to stay healthy because your body will just freeze up over years. It was kind of funny because I used to run all the time, and I'm still playing sports, but I didn't do a sport where I was actually running. And I was in my property one day, and I was back by the barn, and I hadn't run in, golly, 10 or 15 years, it seemed like. I thought, you know what? I'm going to run to the house just to do it. And I couldn't do it. My arms were going the wrong way. My legs weren't cooperating right. It's amazing. Your body can forget simple little things. So, I had to put that back on my routine now to run occasionally. But yeah, people that retire and just don't do anything mentally or physically, their body just mentally fails and physically fails so quickly.
Yeah.
It's sad to see people, as soon as they retire, a year or two later, they pass on because they got nothing to live for every day.
Right. Yeah, it's good to definitely get involved with things like that to help keep your body and brain, active for sure.
Yep.
How did that all lead you to kind of get into the pool industry?
Well, it was a big mistake that I stumbled upon it, actually. I was a computer programmer. I made a lot of money doing that. I was a contractor. So I got into a lot of companies that basically couldn't keep employees, had systems that were way too big with CIOs coming in trying to re-engineer everything and do it in 2 months, when in reality it would take, a year or something to try to do something they're implementing. And a lot of times it failed. So turnover is really high. So I just couldn't stand it. So our industry, IS industry, we got Y2K, which was a big, huge project across the board for most companies. So once Y2K was finished and we had a bunch of programmers are unemployed, so that made keeping contracts difficult because people were hiring full-time employees at that point. And then obviously 9/11 hit everybody, and that was the second hit in our industry, and it became really difficult to get a programming job. So I was looking for something different to do just for a break. And a friend of mine owned a roofing company, and this was in 2003 or 2002 actually. And we had a big hailstorm come through Dallas-Fort Worth and wiped out just a bunch of homes. So he said, come work for me. And I thought, okay, well, I'll oversee a crew or something. Maybe I did have some experience in construction. So he took me up there. We found a good neighborhood. Problem was, it was 3 months after the storm hit. So I got a late start. And all his salesmen had been in the business for, I think the minimum was 5 years and up to 25 years experience.
Oh, wow.
They're all independent. They weren't going to help me or anything. So he said, okay, here's a good neighborhood for you. Go knock doors. And I thought, oh my God, I can't do this. I got sick to my stomach. I was sitting in my truck for almost an hour. I was sweating. I knew I never could do sales. Sales was not going to be who I was. And I thought, there's no way. There's signs all over the place and people's roofs are damaged, but I can't knock on someone's door and bother them. And so anyway, I finally got the courage to do it. And I was a nervous wreck, but probably within 10 doors, ended up not being bad and ended up getting, I think, like 25 leads in a little over an hour and a half. And long story short, I ended up doubling the amount of sales that any of his sales guys had, even though I started 3 months later and they had all the experience. And something that I learned right off the bat, those salesmen, as soon as they walked up and met a homeowner, the first thing they said was, hey, I'll cover your deductible, which means, hey, I'm going to give you $2,500 of my earnings right off the bat. I never, ever, ever offered to cover anyone's deductible, and I never did. I try to look for a competitive advantage. And what I ended up doing was, most homeowners, I realized, don't have a ladder, terrified to get up on the roof, didn't know what hail damage was, wasn't sure if they're being lied to or not. I got a camera and got an inverter from my car. So I'd get up on the roof, take some pictures of the hail damage on their roof and also of their yards. They can tell, yes, this is your roof. And then I go to my truck before I give them the bid and print their pictures and then show them the pictures. And they just had so much confidence in me. And plus, our company offered, hand nailing and stuff like that. But before I knew it, holy crap, I was a great salesman. And I never in my life thought I could sell. So that storm lasted for probably 6 months or so. And then by then, most people had their roofs put on. So I was looking for something different to do. And I wanted year-round income. I knew I didn't want to have to sell a roof to pay for my mortgage. I need something that would pay the bills year-round. And in Texas, obviously, we're warm year-round. So, that lent to pool service being around. Although at the time, I didn't even know there's such a thing as pool service. I had no idea that existed. I don't even remember how I stumbled across that idea.
When you put that on there, I thought that was interesting because that's similar to how when I first got into it too, I thought, man, I didn't even know this existed. I had my mom took care of our pool when we were younger with, her basic test kit of, yellow and red. And, we kind of scooped out netting here and there, but I never knew it was like actually a career. So when I saw that answer on your Sheehy, I was like, oh man, I can definitely relate to that.
Yep. And we started the business in the dead of winter. And I did it just because I had nothing else going on. I had no income, but I thought, well, this would be a good test. If I can get just a couple of accounts in the winter, then maybe in the spring it should be warmer. And maybe that's when people want their pool service. I ended up getting about 17 accounts through November and December. That really excited me.
Yeah.
I felt like, wow, we're going to really do okay in the spring.
So what happened then? You kind of started from there, you started just kind of gaining momentum with your business?
Yep. I dove into it full time, pretty much gave up roofing unless it was some, a lead that I'd been working on, and started, again, I was terrified there too of meeting homeowners because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea that a pump sucked water. I didn't understand, why a pool could turn green. I didn't know what a filter was or had to take it apart and put it back together again. But my friend that I started a business with, his father-in-law had a pool And so he knew a little bit about it. So we went over there and took his filter apart. It was a DE filter. Luckily, we have a heavy DE filter population here in Texas. So that was most of what we're going to see. So we learned a little bit by trial and error there, and on a neighbor who ran into some hard times and had lost her husband. So we did pool service for her free just so we can learn. Mm-hmm. And then my partner ended up going a different way back into his industry. And so for 2 years, probably 3 years, I had unbelievable growth, but I had an unbelievable turnover rate in the sense that I couldn't keep pools well because I didn't know what I was doing. And I had no education besides what I was teaching myself. Supply house wasn't delivering to me. So phone was ringing off the hook, but it was difficult to maintain for a while until I started getting education.
Right. So what did you do to change that?
Well, I stumbled upon actually IPSSA. I stumbled onto IPSSA and then what is called PHTA today, Pool Hot Tub Alliance. It was Association of Pool and Spa Professionals, APSP, and started realizing there's people that meet and talk about pools. Wow, that's kind of cool. And some of the meetings maybe weren't applicable, but some were. And just rubbing elbows with people and just becoming friends with people, and you can pick up the phone and call a competitor. Wow, really? And ask them to say, hey, I got this problem. They'll actually help you. Not all of them would, but a lot of them would. And that was so powerful. And I try not to bother people, but one phone call could save you a day or two. And then, maybe you don't even get paid because you're messing up this person's pool. Maybe you did $500 worth of work well, but there's one thing you can't get right and they get mad and not going to pay you. But one phone call to a competitor that's willing to help, could just make all the difference in the world. So those associations became extremely powerful. And I dove into those and attended as much as I could. And my knowledge within 1 year, it would have taken me 5 to 10 years if I ever got that knowledge trying to do it by myself.
Right. Yeah, those can definitely be powerful. You learn a lot and build a lot of really good business relationships through those type of things.
Yep. You learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to go through and learn it the hard way. And the hard way can be extremely expensive, not just ruining someone's pump, but having collectibles or collections, in the 20 or 30,000 range, just because you are making small mistakes and homeowners, refuse to pay you for everything else you've done. So yes, it's, you want to know what you're doing when you go to someone's house. That's really important.
For sure.
So Jobber is constantly updating and adding new features to their software. That's one of the things we like most about them. As technology changes, so do our customers. We're happy that Jobber is always on top of it. And now for your update on what's new on Jobber.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Jobber has just launched a new activity feed. As your company grows, it gets more and more difficult to get the time-sensitive information you need to operate your business. The activity feed will help you get a pulse on everyday activities happening in your business and stay on top of who is doing what and when. You will receive notifications when quotes and invoices are created, sent, or deleted, when notes are added or deleted, when visits are completed, and when payments are collected. To learn more, go to Product Updates and click the Help document. Or if you're not yet using Jobber, we encourage you to try it out by going to getjobber.com/poolchasers or clicking the link in the write-up below. So tell us more about Crystal Clear Custom Pools now. Like, are you located in Dallas, Fort Worth?
We are technically in Middle Lothian. I said Waxahachie earlier. We're in Middle Lothian. They're real close to each other. We have a warehouse with an office. We have about 250 pools that we do full service on every week. I got about 9 or 10 employees. We do, like I said, mostly service. We do a lot of repairs and a lot of remodeling. I used to build a lot. I'm not quite building that much anymore. The biggest, toughest thing when you're going from yourself, a single pole guy, to trying to have a business is that first employee you hire is so important, because you're giving up a massive amount of your income. If you're doing, let's say, 50 or 60 pools yourself, and you're trying to take on more and do repairs, you're going to give him 40, 50 pools. He's taking all your income for the most part, or a big, majority of it. If that person, if you get up to another 30 or 40 pools now, let's say you got 100, and that first person quits, you're in heap of hurt,
Yes.
because now you're going to lose, 20 or 30 because you can't possibly keep up.
Right.
I was so lucky. I had a friend that I hired as my first employee. He had stayed with me for over 12 years. So he and I did everything. When we were supposed to have 2 or 3 employees, we would have 3 or 4 employees, and somebody would quit and he would pick up the extra until we could find somebody else and help train him for me. So that was so important. I got so lucky having him there with me for all those years until, I was able to get 5 or 6 or 7 employees, and then you can kind of cover if somebody quits. It's a lot easier. But that first employee is so crucial.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. You had someone to depend on like that.
Yep. Got lucky.
So, so when did you kind of stop servicing pools? You kind of wanted to take a little bit of a change and start working just on the business, right?
Well, I knew, I have a bad back. I knew I didn't want to be in the field every day myself, not because it's beneath me, because I've done everything that my guys to do. I did all the repairs. I physically worked on, putting tile on pools and coping as much as I knew how. I did all the servicing and cleaning the pools, but I knew I wanted to own a business, not be necessarily the person in the backyard doing the work. I wanted to, be the one coming up with marketing ideas and meeting the customer. Ironically, my strength is sales. I never thought that, but I got the confidence when I was doing roofing. And again, my confidence in meeting a customer for a swimming pool is now I feel I'm so educated, and I can go in and be like a CSI detective and tell a person, yes, your pump's out, but more than likely this happened first and that. And by the way, this is probably your second or third pump. Oh yeah, I replace it, every 2 years. Well, that's because it's a 2.5 horsepower and you have someone that changed your plumbing to 1.5 inches. So, let's get this fixed. And, and I just walk them through everything, and they get so much confidence in us as a company that we really know what we're doing when, 2/3 of everybody else they talk to don't have a clue what they're doing. So it's easy to have confidence when you have an education like that. And then a lot of that, again, was gained just, by going to these associations and having a mentor. And people are willing to do that too, if you just meet the right person.
Right, for sure. And what do you think the company kind of excels in?
Well, I like to think we're one of the top companies around when it comes to understanding what we're doing. Water chemistry, I jokingly say our competition are nothing but leaf pickers. They really don't know what they're doing. They can get the debris out of the pool sometimes, but that's about it. A lot of them don't know how to take a filter apart. They don't even know what kind of filter they're working with, and the differences between the filters. And most of them have no idea what they're doing with water chemistry. If there's a problem with the water, they just shock it. And if that didn't work, well, I didn't put enough shock in. They shock it some more. But with the problems with the plaster not being having more filler in it than it used to, and not just alkalinity but carbonate alkalinity now, all those things, when I go do a sales lead, I don't bring a tool bag at all, but I do bring my test kit.
Right.
And matter of fact, I got an appointment today that the plaster is just a couple years old, blue, and she said it just kind of looks whitish. So I have a feeling I know what happened. So we probably don't. Stabilizer's probably way too high, and I bet you we don't have enough calcium in the water. But anyone else would just say, "Oh, we'll just acid wash it, or we'll just replaster it," and the problem's not going to be solved. It's just going to happen again. So I really feel like our guys go in and educate the homeowner what went wrong, find what the problem was first. I don't care the motor was out. Why did the motor go out? Can we determine what's going on? Fix that, and then fix what the homeowner is seeing, and then hopefully the problem never arises again.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. How are you kind of educating your team?
Well, I do invite them to some of the meetings. If we have a PHTA meeting that is applicable, because not all my guys are doing the remodeling part. And PHTA, a lot of times we get kind of stuck on pool building and remodeling, but there are some good service classes that we have, or I should just say meetings that we have. And we also offer classes too as well. So they're more than welcome to come to those. Otherwise, if I'm the only one there, then I hold meetings and training sessions, and we sit down and I just start drilling people with questions and educate them on stuff that we learn that's new. Also, I'm in the process of building a equipment setup here, and probably have all 3 manufacturers where we have the actual pumps, controllers, heaters, everything, and have it, the actuators where they can take it apart. Because it's hard when you're trying to explain stuff to them. And at best, maybe you can hold the part up in front of them, but if they can't see how it's working and how it all fits together, and they're the pool cleaner out there by themselves, they're going to break stuff or not leave something set up in the right position. Or if there's a problem, it's awful expensive for me to send my repair guy all the way out there. When perhaps if my pool cleaner is a little bit more educated, he can at least say, hey, I think it's the actuator. You may need to bring one because I'm hitting the buttons and I can see it kind of catching. I remember when I took that one apart, the gears were messed up. Well, I think that's what this one is. So the more educated your pool cleaner is, the more money they can make you and save you. So having an equipment set up here at the shop, I think is going to be really beneficial for us. And programming the variable speed pumps is always difficult for people. So again, having to be the whole group here learning that, it should be really valuable to us.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a similar setup in our warehouse when we were running it. We had a pump and filter and kind of ran like plumbing that we had created. And obviously it wasn't like fully working, but we had run plumbing to kind of show, the actuators and the valves and how, the water would flow through it so they would understand, how the hydraulics worked and things like that. So I think it definitely does help. So I think when you get that put in your place, you're going to see it's going to be really big for you and your team. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the manufacturers were more than happy to give you equipment to set that up. So
yeah,
manufacturer reps do a lot for you if you ask them. And it's amazing what they will give away and help you with, and they'll come out to your job site and help you if you're having a problem. They'll, I've had stuff outside of warranty and they'll still warranty it just because they know I buy their products and stuff. So knowing those reps are extremely, extremely powerful and really helpful. They're there for you. A lot of people don't even realize they even exist.
I know. It's pretty interesting. I think, they definitely want you to be educated on their products. So, they're willing to do that stuff so that, the team out in the field is educated and they're taking care of their stuff correctly, because that will limit their, warranty issues and stuff. So they're definitely more than willing to help with that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Well, how often are you holding those trainings for your team and stuff when you train them? And is that a weekly meeting thing you guys do, or monthly, or?
Not enough. It was supposed to be every month. It's kind of slacked off here. And obviously with the holidays, we're going to be pushing it. So it ends up being probably every couple months on average. I like to do it more, but it's just difficult, especially when you get so busy. So never enough, but as much as we can. Right.
Yeah, it's good to set up a schedule. And yeah, I definitely know what you're saying, though. Sometimes it comes around and you're like, oh, you didn't even prepare for it. So, you skip this one and then it kind of turns into the next one. But
yeah, and we'll actually start posting documents up on the wall, if there's some new change or if I want the alkalinity to be up higher on pools. I don't have time to call everybody and tell them. We'll either do a mass text or we'll post something up on the wall and they all just, put their initials on it so they can say they saw it. And we'll cover it in more detail later perhaps, but that seems to work pretty good just to get the word out quickly and make sure everybody has a chance to see it.
Yeah, that's cool you do that, and then cool that they have to initial it. That's awesome.
We want to thank Pentair for supporting the show. As a podcast for pool professionals, we know that when you sell products, it's your reputation on the line. And when they are Pentair products, it's theirs as well. That's why Pentair's got your back with their trade grade program, which supports your business and reputation by offering exclusive tools and support for lead generation, attractive product rebates and longer warranties, and an unmatched expertise when it comes to accurate equipment selection, setup, and service. So to learn more about how trade grade protects, empowers, and helps your business grow, visit pentair.com/trade grade. That's pentair.com/trade grade, or click the link below.
One thing I saw when I was reading through your answers, I was pretty impressed with how closely you track the business, and you kind of said that was to do with some of your background. But can you talk about some of the ways that you really pay attention to the business and track it? And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from hearing some of that.
Okay. Well, I was a computer programmer, so I'm a data guy. That was my background. So ironically, I like numbers. It, kind of sounds geeky, but to me, data is so powerful. So immediately since I started my company, I just started tracking my numbers. And of course, you can do that in QuickBooks and different software, but also I just have a quick and dirty spreadsheet where I track my growth. I have various worksheets and other spreadsheets too, but every customer we take on, I can tell you exactly the day we took it on. I can tell you, and then we chronicle that with the customer number, but then why we got it, how we got that customer. I promise you 90% of people that run their business have no idea truly where they get their customers from, what their number one way or number two way is they get customers, how much they spend on that particular avenue to get customers, whether it's, Google clicks, or is it, word of mouth, or is it postcards. So we try to track every single customer that we get, find out how they got a hold of us. And the same thing, which is probably the most powerful spreadsheet I have, is I track every customer, every weekly customer that we have that we lose. And I track why we lose, and I have categories of reasons. For instance, they moved, it was a money issue, we did something wrong, or I got a category, homeowner's just stupid and won't listen to you. And, you tell them they got to drain the pool and they refuse to do it. But we can track all that, and it's amazing. Now I know what percentage of people I can expect that will move every year. And that helped me just recently when I was fixing to buy another route from another company. The numbers didn't work based on what percentage of people I know move every year. It stayed really consistent in my spreadsheet, except for 2007, 8, 9, and 10. I think maybe 11 too. So those kind of numbers are extremely powerful. I can determine perhaps, when I'm not strict enough with my guys, because we're losing customers now, that the percentage that we've lost based on mistakes we made is going up. And so we can address that. So that's really, really powerful. And of course, the historical income is one, it makes me compete with myself. I can say, okay, this is how much I did on one-time repairs. I'd like to increase that. Or, my weekly service numbers are down. Maybe I can see here I'm spending a lot more on remodeling, So it's just really helpful for me to be able to track all that. Speaking of data, I know people get solicited by companies that say, hey, we can mail out postcards for you for people to have pools. And you can definitely do that, but boy, it is expensive. And nine times out of 10, you do not get the data list. They just simply pick an area, or you pick an area and say, okay, I want to do, Stevensville, and they'll mail it for you, but you don't get that data. So when you want to mail it again, you got to pay them again. But that data is all free. That's at the appraisal districts. It used to be difficult in a lot of appraisal districts to take that data and to be able to manipulate it. You used to have to know how to work a database and put the foreign keys and primary keys together. And, it was not easy at all. Matter of fact, the county I live in, I couldn't even do it for a while. It was really difficult. And they had a lot of mistakes in their data, but now most of them are simple. You can do it within 20 or 30 minutes and download it to Excel. Excel now doesn't have a record limit like it used to. And I take those records, and I have, 80,000 addresses with people with pools, up to date, pretty up to date. Within about 3 months, if someone builds a pool, I'll have that data. And if I want to solicit a zip code, if I want to solicit a neighborhood, if I want to solicit a city, I sort it and boom, it's there. And I take that and print it straight to the postcard that I already had made up. That's already has all my information on it. And I just slam the addresses on it and boom, it goes out in the mail. So that is basically how I do almost all my advertising. And I still got to pay for the postage and still got to pay for the postcard printing, but the data is so powerful. I constantly hear people say, well, I go to Google Maps and look at a neighborhood and I'll just write down all the addresses. You can do that, but my gosh, that's slow. That is slow. What takes you 3 hours to get, 100 pools in 3 hours, I could mail 40,000 postcards if I wanted to.
Right. Have you seen a lot of success by doing that?
That's how we get all of our business practically. It's, the sales rate, we don't run any trucks practically on what I call one-time customers. So when I mail out, let's say I mail out 5,000 postcards, we may get 50 leads, 35 of those maybe for, hey, I got to pump out. Hey, my, spa is draining down. We don't run those hard at all. We don't have the time. They get in the way of me being a successful, sustained company, I want the weekly accounts. So we have different color cards when we get a lead. Red is the color we use when we get a weekly lead. We're going to run on that all the time. The other stuff is either, a blue or whatever other color. And if we have time, and if we need something to do, we might run on a lead, or we'll cherry pick a one-time lead if it sounds like it could be lucrative, or turn into a remodel. But otherwise, those people don't remember you at all next year, or even 2 months later when their filter breaks. They just pick up the phone and call somebody. So there's not much loyalty with one-time repairs. So, unless we're slow, we're not doing those. So, but the percentage of weekly leads that we will get and that we actually take on and keep is about 1/10 to 2/10% of the postcards I send. Doesn't sound like much, and it is expensive, but compared to every other way that we do for advertising, it has been the most lucrative way for us to advertise.
Wow.
Because now, in my opinion, and I'm a computer guy, you have to have an internet presence, but that's the phone book now. Everybody, before, phone books were really expensive to advertise in, and there was 14 billion pool guys in there. Unless you took a whole page, which was extremely expensive, you weren't really going to stick out. Now the phone book is the internet. So, we have our name out there, but that's about it. We just do the old fashioned way. To us, that's, a lot of people have left that the direct mail avenue of advertising, I feel.
Yeah. I think that's cool how you track them too, and you figure out which leads are the best, because I think that is one of the problems with doing direct mailings is you get a lot of customers that you may or may not want, to do business with. A lot of people who are just trying to get a quick repair or a cheap repair. But, if you track kind of as the leads come in and you cherry pick, like you said, which ones are really the kind of customers you want, and you still have that way of thinking, like that's a pretty impressive way to do it. Just getting the ones that you want and not jumping on every call.
Yeah, we have a grading system on our leads too. So we have a card we fill out. Let's say it's a red card, and I think it's 1 through 5. A 1 means, hey, this is a hot one. If we can get there today, he just wants service. He just bought the house. He just used to have pool service in his other house. He wants it now. So 1 means get there quick. 5 means they use the word bid 6 times. They're calling people. Those we don't, worry about too much, because they're going to get, who knows how many leads, or we recognize them from the previous year and the year before that. The pool was green. They refused to let it run during the winter. And, you can just tell they don't want to fix anything. We pretty much avoid those customers.
Right. That's awesome. That's a lot of people can learn from that for sure. And, it's not jumping on every phone call that comes in, but it's jumping on the ones that really are attractive to you and your business and the way that you've outlined it. Everybody does business different in a lot of different locations, but if you figure out your business plan, your business model, and what you want, what kind of customer you want, when you get those leads, you said, make them a hot priority. And the other ones are just kind of if you need them, or, your business is slow or something. That's really cool way to do it.
And not only prioritize the leads as they come in, but when you get to a pool, don't feel like you have to take that pool on. There's so many crap pools out there. It's hit and miss. Sometimes you're surprised with people that will spend money. A lot of times we do realize that a homeowner's pool is in terrible shape, run down, because they've had one guy forever, or 2 or 3 guys over the last several years, and they allowed the pool to get that way. They have programmed the homeowner to be cheap. They have programmed the homeowner not to fix anything. So you got to kind of, talk to the homeowner and try to get an understanding why the pool is like this. Now, they just say, I just want this. I never use it. I don't want to, fix anything. Well, then, okay, I'm not your person, because it's got to be working. 1, it has to be safe. 2, it needs to be working so our pool cleaners aren't killing themselves. Okay, if you don't want an automated pool cleaner, that's fine, but you're going to get charged more for weekly service. But sometimes you can reprogram the homeowner to get the pool up into, a new standard that they kind of forgot the pool used to be at one point. And for instance, to kind of explain that, sometimes you have a homeowner, they built the pool 10 years ago, and now they're putting water in it every 2 days. And you ask them, do you have a leak? I don't think so. Well, how often you put water in? Every 2 days. That's common. And they think about it like, well, no, it's not. I guess we never you know what? We never used to put water in the pool. Okay, well, you got a leak. They just forget it. Just sneaks up on them over time. And a dilapidated pool can happen like that with homeowners too. So
Sure.
a lot of times it's, they've been programmed not to fix stuff. So as
Right.
long as they're willing to fix it, we'll take it on. But if they're not, we
Yeah.
run away. We
Yeah,
don't
you
walk
gotta-
away, we run away. We don't want something like that.
Yeah, you got to stick to your model, your business model for sure.
Since we've started with Pool Chasers, we've spoken with a lot of pool builders and designers. Something they have all mentioned is that having realistic, detailed 3D renderings to show their clients is a game changer. Something that makes the rendering come to life is including products and accessories that your clients can purchase from you. One manufacturer that makes this particularly easy is Ledge Lounger. By going to ledgeloungers.com/CAD, you can instantly download a 3D file for any product in their catalog. Everything from their signature chase to their new patio furniture, cabanas, games is all available to drop into your 3D designs. We've seen these renderings pop up on Instagram full of in-pool and outdoor furniture, and you can't help but stop and look. If you want to transform your 3D renderings, whether you use CAD, Pool Studio, SketchUp, or any other platform, you can get the product files you need at ledgeloungers.com/CAD. That's ledgeloungers.com/CAD. CAD.
So let's kind of, jump into, you've held several positions throughout the industry, and I think a lot of that, you give to education and kind of being involved. So can you talk a little bit about more of some of the positions you've held throughout the industry?
Yep. So right now I've been on the, used to be called APSP, recently changed to PHTA Pool Hot Tub Alliance. I served on that board, 8 years or so. And then now currently I am the president of the North Texas Chapter of the PHTA. And then we have IPSSA, Independent Pool and Spa Service Association. I am the Waxahachie Chapter president on that. And then the Southwest Pool and Spa Show, I was on the board, and I was vice president, and now I'm just a board member again. I also run the Design Awards, which is a pretty cool thing. We might get into that here in a second, talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also on the PHTA National Builders Council. So get to meet a lot of different people with different backgrounds, doing different things in the market, and I can have a vast amount of different people to pull stuff from when I got questions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure you learned all kinds of different parts of the industry, and with all those positions. Thanks for your time and doing all that. I'm sure you've helped quite a lot of people.
I hope.
Right. So yeah, let's talk more about the Southwest Pool and Spa Show. It's coming up January 22nd. Can you share some of your experience with us, in going to that show and what it's meant to you over the years?
Yep. Actually, when I first attended, it was in my backyard. It was in, I think, Plano. And then we actually had another show a little bit later in Fort Worth. Had it not been in my backyard, I never would have known about it, I don't think. Maybe now I would have, but it just, as far as I understood from a participant, you go there and there's just tons of classes, and, most of them are free. And it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then they had a big show floor where all the manufacturers came out and displayed their products. And it was amazing to me that, my gosh, I haven't seen maybe 20% of this stuff before. What is all this stuff? What is this tool? What is this specialty item? So it's really kind of neat. You go to your warehouse and you go to the counter, and they may have a few things hanging up on the wall, a few, cool things, but it's amazing when you walk these showroom floors, how much stuff's out there that you're not seeing. Distributors won't pick up most stuff until it's a proven seller. So all these great products that might be out there, for 5 or 10 years before they finally get traction to get into a supply house, you have access to when you go to these shows. You'll see it and can touch it, feel it, and get explained to you, the advantages of what it can do for you. But then also comes the classes too. The Southwest Pool and Spa Show, I believe, has the most educational classes in the pool industry of any other show in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. We have classes for pool builders, pool builder owners, service company owners, service people, water chemistry classes. So we cover the full spectrum. Most of the classes are free. There are some paid classes. Most of those will be your pool building classes, will be paid classes. The CPO, Certified Pool Operator class, that's required for most commercial pools. That's a paid class. The National Plaster Council startup class. That's really important nowadays. Plaster has changed dramatically. Water, we have serious water issues in our area. Low calcium and how that affects your plaster and your color. So you could just be overwhelmed with classes. And that was actually something that would happen to me. You go to these pool shows and you take so many classes and there's so many great things. You're writing all this stuff down and you become overwhelmed, forget a lot of it, and then it's hard to implement stuff. So I actually try to take somebody with me and spread the classes out and tell them, hey, you're going to be responsible for bringing back X amount of ideas, and I want to implement 2 or 3 of those ideas. So that's going to be your job, and I'm going to do the same. But trying to do it all yourself, sometimes it's overwhelming because there's so much information at these shows.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta, like we talked about before, you gotta make a game plan. When you go in there, it's good, on the website, and I think they send out mailers too sometimes that they'll show you kind of all the classes and lay it out, and you can kind of pick and choose. I'd always recommend looking at that list prior to going if you're planning on going. That way you can see and read the details of each class and kind of see which ones are more geared towards you, and then you can pick and lay out each day. That really helps when we are attending shows to be able to map that out ahead of time and figure out where you're going to go. Because when you do get there and you're walking the show floor and you're seeing all the classes it can be a little overwhelming, but if you prepare for it, you can definitely, you're going to spend the money to go down there, you spend money in the hotel, and if you're going to take some of the certified classes, you spend money on those. So you want to make sure you're getting the most out of it each and every time. So I found that really kind of taking a look at that, preparing for it beforehand can really help with that.
Yeah, you have to lay it out ahead of time. Some of the classes repeat themselves. For instance, there'll be several water chemistry classes. So that may be a class you really want to have, but yet there's one class that's only being taught one time and it conflicts with that. So, but if you look through the schedule, you can pick up another water chemistry class or marketing class. There's quite a few different marketing classes. So you really maybe want that class, but it maybe, interferes with another class you want. So sitting out there ahead of time and mapping out your whole schedule, and you can change it to free classes. You can come and go to any free class you want. So if you get there and change it, that's no big deal. You just walk into another class.
Right.
But having a plan ahead of time really is helpful, because it is overwhelming when you just walk in and see, all these classrooms and you seem to have interest in everything all of a sudden. But if you don't have a game plan, you're going to miss a lot of ones that you really perhaps wanted to take.
Right. Yeah, for sure. How do you think the show's kind of helped you in your business, and how's the education made a difference for you?
Well, again, I think I think I spun my wheels for the first 3 or 4 years. I mean, I took on a tremendous amount of business. I took on, again, I have spreadsheets to show, how many pools I took on one month and how many it totaled in the month and all that. And for the year, the first year I was in business, I took on 79 new accounts. The next year, 139. The next year, 139. But I lost so many of those because I didn't know what I was doing. I could talk well in front of a homeowner and kind of was learning, but I didn't understand what phosphates were or pH and alkalinity. I really didn't know what that did. So had I gotten involved with these associations and these pool shows and actually became a more common participant, because I went and I'd not go for 6 months and I'd go again. But once I really got stuck in there and stayed, it was just amazing how much I learned and how much I feel like now I can mentor other people, where before I was just kind of, an average person. I'd go once in a while and learn a little bit. You forget a lot of stuff too. You go and you hear great things, but you forget probably half of it if you're not implementing it and talking about it.
Right.
So being active in it and staying involved in it, I would be probably twice as big as I am now. Easily, I could say, had I not stumbled around for 3 or 4 or 5 years trying to understand what I was doing.
Yeah. So you think if you had taken the opportunity and known about these shows, when you were first starting out, like it would have benefited you quite a bit to attend them and take the classes that are offered?
Yeah, absolutely. Because some of the classes too, I can remember one of the classes I took in Plano was by a competitor, and his class, he just basically stood up there and said, okay, I'm a pretty big company. Here's everything I screwed up. And just went through and, talked about how you can get set up taking credit cards. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't know you could be an individual and accept credit cards, so that was a big help. And some of the ways he tries to reduce collections, and how when he charge for stuff, when he decide to collect versus, when to repair. Do we collect it right now? Do we collect it later? Just all kinds of things, learn from my mistake class. And those are some of the best classes that you can take. And,
Yeah.
We have stuff like that at the show. So one of the classes we teach in our local PHTA class once a year, we have 2 or 3 days of classes. And I got Jandy to come out, and they bring 6, 7 Polarises, and we have tables of 3 or 4 people per table. And everyone on that table has to completely break down a Polaris 280 and 360 and rebuild it. People are embarrassed to say, I don't know how to do that. A few people will, but 90% of people in that class act like they know how to do it. And it's funny to watch it. They don't know what the heck they're doing. So we have that same class at the Southwest Pool and Spa Show. And ironically, I thought I knew it really well, but I really did not know how to install a Polaris correctly. I learned a lot just sitting there overseeing the class, things I didn't, thought I knew about everything about the Polaris, and I got educated. But we'll have that class at a Southwest Pool and Spa Show. So they'll have 5, 6 reps. And so there'll be 3 or 4 to a table, and they provide everything, Polaris's tools, and you're taking the 280 and the 360 apart completely and rebuilding it. It's a great class for, anyone doing pool repairs. We're extremely heavy in our market here on powered pressure cleaners here. That's the number one cleaner in our market.
Yeah.
But classes like that are, you can read the book all day, but it's until you take one apart. And it's amazing because when I go to new accounts, I get called upon, even if there's someone taking care of that pool, a pool professional, 90% of the time that Polaris is not installed correctly, or it's broken and not even working.
Right.
So we do a tremendous amount of repairs. And now it's so much easier for our pool cleaner to take care of that pool now. And it looks pretty, when we're not there now.
Yeah, definitely helps for sure when you understand that kind of stuff. That was one of the coolest classes that I always take too. We have a lot of suction inside market, but similar class where you could break down the cleaners and learn how to rebuild them and what's offered, what kind of kits are offered and things. So that, that's an easy way to make quite a bit of money if you know how to do it.
Yep, and it makes your job easier.
For sure. And, more importantly, as a business owner, it makes your job, like you said, of your technicians easier, which is always good. You always want to, give them the best way possible to take care of a pool.
Yep. It keeps their morale up. Morale's,
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to do sometimes, and that definitely helps. Where's the show located this year? And
it is going to be in Houston. Our show moves around to different locations, San Antonio, Houston, and we're trying to get it to Dallas pretty soon, maybe Austin. But this year it is going to be at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas, January 22nd through the 25th. You can find it online at swpsshow.com. So it's Southwest Pool and Spa Show.com. You can type that into Google as well, and it'll show you the website. And on there, you have the entire breakdown of every class we have offered, when it is, what it's about, even tell you who the instructor is. The education, I believe, starts.
I think it's Wednesday through Saturday. And then the exhibitions or the exhibit open Friday and Saturday, right?
Yep, Friday and Saturday. Somebody can walk through. If they're just browsing and don't want to talk to people, you can walk through that show, the floor, the exhibition floor, in probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but you are doing yourself a big disservice. I know those people are there to, sometimes you think bother you and try to sell you stuff, but it's amazing, even stuff you really don't mess with sometimes. But if you just take some information from them, it's amazing when all of a sudden, you're learning stuff, and now, hey, I never thought I could do remodels. And what was the name of that tile place? Or I never thought about replacing a fire bowl, but there was some there. And matter of fact, they have electronic starters and everything. And, those people will hold your hands on your first install and stuff. So going to that show and really taking your time and talking to people, if you take your time and actually talk to them, you'll find out that Friday and Saturday is not enough time. If you really, spend that much time in trying to learn.
Right.
you barely have enough time to get through that show. Yeah, there's so much there that could be helpful for you.
For sure. And you guys offer, I know that there's lunch provided every day on the floor, which is cool and different than some of the other shows. And you guys have the welcome party and awards program. Can you talk a little bit about the awards program? Because you kind of help run that, right?
Yeah. So we have what's called a design award. So we have builders that are competing. They will submit pools, and we have different categories they can submit it in: over 90,000, under 90,000, vanishing edge, no vanishing edge, perimeter overflow, technical achievements, all kinds of different categories they can enter into, fiberglass pools. And we end up with about 270 applicants every year, 270 pools that are entered. Those pools get sent out to judges all throughout the United States. Every category has at least 3 judges that will go through. Those judges don't know who the pool builder was. They don't know where the pool is located. They don't know what the other judges are doing and how they're scoring it. They just go through and score it on 4 different categories, and then we take all those results and we come up with the winners. This year we have about 70 winners. So those awards are extremely powerful. For pool builders that have a showroom, they can hang those awards up on the wall. They are really beautiful. We actually redid them last year too. They look really sharp, but it really stands out a lot when you have an award like that, where, a gold or a silver or a bronze for a design award. And then you can do press releases with that too as well. A lot of local communities will put you in a magazine or the newspaper and, advertising that you got, a gold for a design award for one of the best pools in, a 7-state area. So at the welcoming party, that's where anyone that attends, it's free. After you did get your free lunch, you go to the welcoming party. We have food. We have a couple different stations, different food usually, and you get drink tickets. And of course, if that's not enough, you can always purchase more. And then it's just a big socializing meeting. You can go around and introduce yourself and talk to people that you might have met in your classes, and get some mentors hopefully lined up for you. And then we also go quickly to the design award announcements. We will read out and show pictures of every pool builder that won an award, and they'll have their pictures taken, and you can see if you ever want to enter in a design award. And we also have a remodel category too. You can see the level of photography that these companies are doing, how they're staging the pool, and what they're being, the verbiage they're using to describe the pools to get these judges to vote for them. It's pretty impressive. We'll have, pools that are, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 pools. So it's pretty neat to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you may get a lead, or you may need help on a remodel, and hey, these guys are doing it. So hooking up with somebody like that can get you into the remodel industry, because they'll, you butter their bread a couple times and they'll help you butter yours. And before you know it, you may be into remodeling now.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of advantages to be part of that. So yeah, thanks for sharing all of that. There's a couple other networking opportunities throughout the show. I know the Young Wave Professionals meeting. We have our podcast tour we're doing on 23rd. So we appreciate you, Tom, taking the time out of your day to really kind of talk with us about your business and the show. It's coming up here shortly, so we wanted to kind of touch a little bit on that. And we know you've had a big part in some of the, as the vice president in the awards ceremony and everything. So we appreciate you taking time out of your day to really talk with us about everything.
Oh, thank you for having me. And again, I hope to see people at the show, new people, and don't hesitate to come up and say hello to me. I always tell the builders when they call with question on design awards, come seek me out, say hello to me, because I love meeting people and learning different things. And, knowing more people just helps you get out of trouble when you got something going on you don't know how to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put some links in the show notes and everything to go to the website and learn more. So yeah, appreciate you, Tom. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to find out more about our guests or the sponsors of the show, you can check them out on the links we have provided in the write-up below. We have also provided links to our social media platforms, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If the podcast has brought you any value, please do what you can to support us through our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/poolchasers. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to be updated each time a new episode is released. One last thing. If you're not yet in our Facebook group, join it today to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all trying to better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We appreciate your time and your ear.
See you out there, pool chasers.